Hello and welcome to Sidequest. This is our weekly video game show here at Geek First. I'm your host, Dylan Muss, and I have with me Showtime, Kirklin Patzer. How you doing, my friend?
I'm feeling very pink today, and that's not a Barbie reason. That's a Princess Peach reason. I'm very excited to talk to you about this game. I've been quiet on the comms all weekend about it, but yeah, no, I'm excited to.
I
Share
didn't
my
know if I was going to
thoughts
get that Monday message of, hey, I didn't actually end up buying this game. Like, can we pivot on Sidequest? But glad to hear that you.
It's funny that you said
did.
that because part of me that today I'm like, I wonder if I should just troll Dylan since I haven't talked to him about it like at all this weekend. I was like, oh, when's that Peach game coming out? I was thinking about saying something like that, but
my heart
I
can't
held my
take it.
tongue. Yeah.
Yeah, so what were you talking about? Princess Peach Showtime, of course, the latest Nintendo game. Also, Marvel 1943. We're going to talk about this trailer that came out for that. And then the games we've been playing as well. So just a nice classic side quest episode here. Not a whole lot of plugs. Make sure to join the Patreon to get episodes early and ad-free. You can leave a review to help the show grow. Halo, we just finished that second season. So you can go check out all those episodes now if you want to hear our thoughts on that whole show. And for my game that I've been talking about, Potion Problem, I finally have the trailer ready, and it is up there on YouTube. So you can go check it out and see what the game actually looks like when you're playing it. Or if you go on the Steam page, the video's up there as well. So either or.
It's a very nice trailer.
I
was checking it out. I was checking it out yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. And yeah, no, you did such a great job of just showcasing like the key elements of it and kind of what you can do with the game and great music to go along with it. Yeah, I was really impressed.
Yeah, shoutouts to Amanda who made just an absolutely killer soundtrack for the game. So of course I used a good classic song in there for the trailer as well. When I was making it, I thought it would be like, I'm going to do like a 45-second long trailer. And then when I was actually making it, then it was like over 2 minutes. I'm like, that's too much. And so I ended up cutting it down to like a minute 45, which feels good. I feel like it does, a good job of showing off all the different stuff. And yeah, I haven't edited like a video in a while, and I'm using this like new software, so it took me a few days there to get that sorted out. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Gets the job done.
It felt like a video game trailer, so you're doing
There
it
you
right.
go. I definitely like watched the Spelunky 2 trailer, and I was
Oh,
like,
nice.
I'm gonna copy this like pacing beat for beat, to get some inspiration there. So that's good. That's good that it fit the genre. So yeah, you can go check out that trailer, and then if you would like, you can wishlist the game on Steam. Helps like boost the game up when people are searching. There's all sorts of potion games out there these days, so get me up that list. So when people search for potions on Steam, they find my game before others. Yeah, any shout outs from you, Kirkland?
Shoutouts? I don't think so. Nothing really. Well, I mean, we got our retros in full swing on the main feeds there.
Yep.
We got Mad Max, Planet of the Apes. You already mentioned Halo. That's that mission's over.
Yes.
We'll see if we get another season of that. But that was a journey and a half. Yeah, I don't know. Go check out the feeds.
Yeah, it's the season of X. We're doing the X-Men animated show.
Absolutely.
The first 2 episodes we reviewed last week. We have a newscast happening this week where there's some other juicy news and trailers and whatnot. So yeah, just subscribe and then you can see all that stuff easily. Okay, Kirkland, before we get into the main topic, you want to hear about my latest gaming rabbit hole here?
Please, yes.
I recently learned about this game, and I'm going to screen share this for the YouTube audience, and you guys should Google this if you are not on YouTube. I learned about this game that came out in the 80s called Rings of Power. Check this out.
Rings of Power? Like the Amazon series?
Rings of Power. So look at this. This is like kind of a Lord of the Rings looking thing. It's kind of like, I don't know, tactics, strategy. Look at this like Hobbit looking character.
Wow.
This is
look at
not
that.
a Lord of the Rings game though.
Really?
This is not associated with Lord of the Rings in any way. This is just a clear knockoff of the brand, which I find absolutely hilarious. Even this Aragorn looking guy over here.
Yeah.
There was an image I saw at one point that had like a spitting image for Gandalf. I mean, I guess that's a generic gray sort of wizard, but
yeah, still
crazy, right? Such a
Sega
weird
Genesis.
oddity from the 80s. Kirkland, take a guess. Who do you think developed this game?
like Sega? I don't know. It wouldn't be Sega if it was just a Rings of Power ripoff. I have no idea.
This game was developed by Naughty Dog.
Really?
Yeah, like a way different Naughty Dog than we
Oh
see
my
these
gosh.
days. One that had this as their logo apparently, which I didn't even realize. Putting the naughty in Naughty Dog, just
Oh
like
my
a
gosh. That seems
presumably
like such
naked
a
lady as their logo, like fucking just right out of the '80s for sure for this
wow.
game.
Yeah. That it seems like a fake like a spoof type thing.
Yeah, I wonder if this would fly nowadays or just back in the '80s. It was a different time on these early video game
Censored. Yeah.
consoles. Yeah. So anyway, that's part of this rabbit hole. Is like what the hell is this game? I can't believe this exists. But because of that, I wanted to see if you could like play it or buy it anywhere. And so I went on Steam and I searched for it, and it's not on Steam. It's probably not playable on any sort of hardware these days. But in my search, I found another game called Rings of Powder, which is very much, once again, borrowing the Lord of the Rings kind of vision and stuff. Like it's got the same logo here, or
Yeah.
the same font, I should say. It's got the ring in the title, and then just watching this trailer here, like it's essentially looks like a Mines of Moria like dungeon simulator sort of game.
Yeah.
This came out last year though. This is like a more recent
wow.
thing, and it looks pretty janky, but it also looks like kind of fun, and obviously it has like very much the Mines of Moria sort of aesthetic to it.
Mhm.
But there you go. There's another game, Rings of Power and Rings of Powder. If you're looking for some cheap Lord of the Rings knockoffs, it makes me wonder what other games out there that I just don't know the titles of that are
Yeah.
knocking off Lord of the Rings.
Probably just keep searching rings and then, leave like the last
Yeah.
part blank and you'll get more and more searches.
Mm-hmm.
That's so funny. I've not heard of any of those titles.
Yeah, I put Rings of Powder on my wish list, and when it goes like $5 or less, I will pick it up and I will check it out. And they in the descriptions and stuff, they make a big point about it being very ironic, and I'm like, I don't know if like just blatant IP theft is irony, but sure, man, whatever you say. But yeah, it looks like a good time. So there you go. There's 2 games. That was my latest rabbit hole. But enough of that. Let's talk about this. So Nintendo, more specifically Peach. She's had a couple games. She had a DS game back in the day. I think there maybe got a sequel for that, which we've talked about here on Sidequest before, because Shay really enjoyed that game or had it as a kid. And here we are all these years later, and there's finally a new Princess Peach game. This is not a sequel to, I think it was just called Super Princess Peach. This is a new situation where Peach is going to the theater, and then all these hijinks occur. So yeah, you've been playing this thing over the weekend. I checked out the demo, so I played like the first half an hour of the game, which is not that meaningful. But yeah, tell me about your time with Princess Peach Showtime. How much have you played, and what are you thinking so far?
Yeah, so for Princess Peach Showtime, I think I've played about 5 or 6 hours into it. So pretty lengthy amount of time. I did backtrack because it's got a classic Mario ism where there's like star or like collectibles on the missions that if like you don't necessarily have to get them all, but sometimes
there's like
you
a
do
lot
want
because
them all.
normally there's like maybe 3 in a Mario level, but it seems like there's like sometimes 10 or something.
Yeah,
in a
so
given level.
each level has 10. So there's been times when
crazy.
I've just been like, wow, let's go back and collect all those before I keep moving on. But yeah, no, 5 or 6 hours. And I've been, I guess I should preface with saying like the lead up to this game got me extremely hype because I wasn't always the biggest like specifically Princess Peach fan, but just through recent years, I've definitely grown to have her in my S tier catalog when it comes to Mario characters. I absolutely love Peach. She's my go-to whenever I play a Mario game these days. And just like the announcement of this game just got me so excited because obviously now she's like one of my favorite characters in Mario, and to just have her own like standalone. I did play the one way back in the day on the DS. I thought it was all right, but like nothing too spectacular. But just a new modern version of Peach. I feel like she's even more relevant now because of course, Anya Taylor-Joy playing her in the Mario movie. Like she had a big role in that movie. Yeah. Definitely boosts the stock of that character, I think, overall. And just what this game was kind of marketed as was really interesting. That it is like a play that that you're doing different plays, and along that comes different attire and like different stories, I guess, that you're going on, and just the fact that it was a Princess Peach game and the aesthetic just totally had me sold. I showed Shay the trailer. She's like, "Oh my god, we're getting that day one." So she was super stoked. She was working like over the weekend, so she hasn't fully got the chance to dive into it. She's played a little bit, but I think she was saying tomorrow, because she's at work right now, so tomorrow she's going to be jumping into this pretty hardcore.
And there's no co-op in it, right? Like it is a single player thing.
Yeah, we were a little bit bummed by that because lately, like her and I have been going through these Mario games together, like Mario Wonder. Like just co-op in that sense has been lots of fun.
It would have been cool if Daisy was in there as that co-op character.
We were talking about that.
Daisy never really gets the time to shine either, and we talked about how in Wonder she finally got like the playable slot on the roster there.
Yeah.
But it would have been a cool update. But I don't know. They could do it in the future, I guess, with this new.
I think
IP.
gameplay wise too, like it totally would have been fine to have her in there. Doesn't seem like it would have been too challenging to work her in there, but whatever. Maybe the next one. But no, anyways, getting on to me playing this game now, I've honestly, it's surpassed my expectations of this. I really liked what was shown there, but some of the gameplay, it just seemed like it was going to be like very kiddie and like not really a challenge. I don't know, like there was different plays that were shown in the trailer, but it just didn't have too much pizzazz over the fact that it was just like a standalone Peach game with some cool costumes. But I absolutely love this game so much, and I highly recommend it to Peach fans, but also just like Mario fans in general. I think that this very much fits in that same, well, it is a Mario game, but like it feels like a Mario game in the sense of difficulty, where I feel like Mario games, like they are family oriented, so they're never really going to be too challenging, but it's a little bit more than just like a super easy side scroller where there's nothing more to it. There's certain just challenges that you kind of have to come across depending on which play you're on. Like there's it's called like Detective Peach, or like that's that transformation, but it's kind of like a Sherlock Holmes inspired world. And I was getting so like just totally puzzled on like some of these puzzles. There's a couple other ones that I was not necessarily like bashing my head against the wall, but I kind of had to scratch my head and figure out how to tackle the situation. So that was kind of surprising. I think the first world that I did, it was super easy, so I was a little bit worried of like, oh, okay, this is going to be just kind of turn my brain off and just advance through this game. But it's a lot more to that, and I think the key reason being like these different plays that you do. And there's only 10 transformations across the board. I haven't experienced all of them. There's a couple like I think big like story ones that come near the end.
Okay.
Just by googling, that's kind of how it seems it's gonna be. But yeah, no, just the different costumes that you get. I think it's seriously a highlight of mine in this game. Just the different attire and the different abilities that you have on Peach. Just like, man, when you go like Ninja Peach, I'm just like, I want a standalone Ninja Peach game. Like this is so sick, and like just the aesthetic to it, as well as how it feels, like the little new mechanics that you get on Peach is just it's so fun. It's so awesome, and I think that was the biggest surprise for me, because I knew it was gonna be cool to kind of see Peach in these different outfits and just these different worlds that you go in through these plays, but to actually be playing it and just doing these like stealth attacks as Peach like in a Mario game, it's just, oh wow, I never really thought that this would be, you know, a game that I'm playing, but here we are. And no, I think they did a really good job with just the whole aesthetic that it is a play. It kind of reminds me of, I think it's called Backloggd Theater. Have you ever played that game? It's like a platformer.
No, I haven't played it.
Co-op, but like same sort of thing. There's a theater going on, so like
Right.
there's viewers, and they just like, I don't know. There's certain little quality of not quality of life, little things that I guess like just boost the immersion that it is a play, and this game has that littered throughout. Like whether there's like you're riding a horse when you're in like the Western world, but like it's on like strings as if it's just like a play going on.
Right,
like, all of that
that's
stuff
cool.
I think is really, really fun.
That's kind of like a fun throwback too, because like Super Mario Bros. 3 is like framed as a play essentially.
That's
like
right,
the opening
yeah.
title card of that game, right, is like them pulling back the curtain and you're like
Yeah.
going behind the scene and with the white blocks and stuff. So it's kind of interesting that I can't recall a time that Mario's ever gone back to that sort of setting. So
Yeah.
it's fun that this is kind of a fun reprisal of that.
I guess the difference there would be like that whole game is like based to be a play, whereas this one, like she's going to the theater, and then
Yeah,
of course
right.
something happens.
And this
then
game
she
actually
has
like is meaningful with that. Whereas Mario 3, it's like, I guess when you get to the end of the level, like you go off stage, and that's like about as much as it connects to that theme, other than the opening.
Yeah, but yeah. So back to this one, I think that just like the synopsis, like the plot. Like it's nothing too, it like it's kind of funny how Mario games usually go this trend where like our characters are at somewhere and they're like having a good time, and then like a big bad comes in and then just like corrupts it a little bit, and then that's like the challenge of the game. I've noticed that just throughout the years, it seems like they kind of follow that theme, but it works. You know, it's definitely the Mario thing to it. You get a new companion in this game. Her name's Stella. That's the little star thing that floats with you.
Right.
She's really cute. I really like that character to be the little tag along. Mario Wonder, you had the prince. I forget his name, but
Florian, I think.
Florian, that's right. I like Stella a lot more than Florian. Florian was a little obnoxious.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, no, I think gameplay wise, like again, it's not going to be like super challenging. Maybe one day we'll be getting a difficulty selector in a Mario game. Today is not that day, but
Yeah.
I think it's a good enough challenge where there has been a couple times that I've had to like redo a level, not just because I missed one of the collectible stars, but because I actually just like failed it. Whereas there is certain missions that maybe they feel super easy, but I think the fact that there is so many different ones and you have very different mechanics depending on what the play is that you're doing, I think it doesn't feel repetitive in that way at all, which is really nice, because it's really just motivated me to keep wanting to go. So yeah, I mentioned the theater that you're at. How you progress through the game is there's different floors of the theater. There's a basement level as well, but I think those are like the later stages, like maybe even post game stuff.
Okay.
Some like even Mario Wonder, it had like the tricky level area.
Yeah, the hidden areas.
I think it's going to be something similar to that. I haven't done any of the basement levels yet, but I'm on the 3rd floor, and just through Googling, I found out that there's 5 floors total, and each one has like 5 stages to it. And then of course there's like the 10 collectible stars on each one. So
yeah,
that's kind of like your frame of reference for how long the game is. Each level, I was asking Shay about this as we were going along with it. It's like, how would you compare these level lengths to like some of the Mario Wonder levels, for example? And I think some of them are like significantly longer than the Mario Wonder levels, but there has also been some ones that I've like really breezed through and it seems shorter than certain Mario Wonder levels. So I think overall it's pretty similar in length, maybe a little bit longer than the Mario Wonder levels, which is just like kind of your standard Mario, platformer type level lengths. They all kind of feel like a similar. It's not like you have one that's 2 minutes, one that's like 15 minutes. It's not like Outlast Trials, where you could be going for an hour plus or 40 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, considering there are 10, is it stars are the collectible in this?
Yeah.
Considering there's 10 in every level, like, I don't know, if you're trying to get all of those, would that put you in a level for like 15, 20 minutes if you're trying to find them, or is it not so complicated to get them?
Not so complicated. Like, for me, there's been a few times where I'm just going through the levels, and then it's the same thing in like the other Mario games where there's 3 coins, for example. And let's say you get one, and then it gives you the second coin. You're like, oh, I missed the first one. I'm gonna have to go back and look for that.
Gotcha.
There's only been a few times where I get to a point, I'm like, oh, I just missed 2 stars. Like I don't even know where I missed them or anything like that. There has been instances where you have to do a certain like sequence of things to get that one extra star, and I just like missed it or something, and it doesn't come back until you like redo the level. So it's like, oh, okay, well that kind of sucks, but at least I know what to look out for next time. But like the game is still pretty. Well, it is very linear. It is still kind of like a side scroller for the most part, with a little bit more. I don't know what dimension.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Crash Bandicoot, really.
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of a surprise to me. I really thought it was going to be mostly just a side scroller with a little bit of depth to it. Like you can go backwards a little bit, which there is a lot of levels that does have that. But there's also, like you mentioned, the Crash Bandicoot reference. I think is definitely right on.
Nice.
So yeah, no. So I'm like I said, I'm on the 3rd floor. There's 10 transformations total. I think 2 of those are like the big story ones. But obviously, if there's only 10 transformations, like certain theaters, they come up multiple times, which is great because, like I said, like the ninjutsu one where you're Ninja Peach, that one's just so fun, and those levels I really look forward to. Surprisingly, I think my favorite transformation though, maybe it'd be hard for me to choose one favorite, but like the S tier of the transformations for me is actually Figure Skater Peach. Those levels
Oh,
are
okay.
so fun to me. Just the movement that she does and the animation that they have. Like it's not like she's just doing like one skating animation. Like sometimes if she's going around a corner, she'll like switch to going backwards, and she's like looking backwards as she's skating backwards, and then she'll do like a little spin. The big like air quote challenge in that level is like you kind of have to do like a, it's not a recital, is it? But like a figure skating dance, I guess, and like you have to do certain spins or jumps, and then you're kind of like in sync with these other like NPC characters that are kind of your allies, and it just, I don't know, like the animations to it, the music, just how it feels to like hit those dead on like little tricks that you have to do, and just Peach's outfit and it is so phenomenal. She's very much like Elsa from Frozen. Like it seems the overall aesthetic is like that. But I mean, as I was mentioning earlier, I think all of the suits are just, or transformations, I guess, are just phenomenal. I think they did such a good job with the uniqueness of it. It really just makes me like, obviously we want more of it, but for like Mario or Luigi, you know, like I want to see Luigi as the ninja version, and like just the I don't know, the stories that you could tell from these different things. Like I was mentioning earlier, I would just take like a full-on Ninja Peach game and I thought about that with like the Detective Peach sequence. Like I just think it's really fun, like putting these characters that we know and love in these different environments and give them like these different mechanics. Like for the ninja one, for example, she is like a stealth mechanic. She can like jump like off walls to like scale just things, and she's got her kunai, so she's like dangerous. There's Kung Fu Peach in there as well. There's like a superhero one, I forget what that one's called.
Oh yeah, yeah, I saw that one.
But yeah, no, all of the different transformations are so phenomenal. The sword fighting one, that one's phenomenal too. I love it. It gave like a dodge mechanic to the game. This one, like, it's not too challenging. It's not like you're playing Elden Ring or like Nier Automata where you have to like really time those like the dodge button with it. It's kind of just like your attack button. So as you're just like button smashing, every once in a while you do this like really awesome like dodge ability. Aesthetically it's super pleasing, but it's not the most like obviously gameplay challenging.
It's funny you say that. When I was playing through, because that's one of the two transformations that are in the demo are Sword Fighter and Patisserie or Patissiere.
Nice.
I don't know how you pronounce that exactly. But yeah, like the first guy, like mini boss you have to fight with the Sword Fighter, and you have to like dodge his hit like right at the right time, and then she'll like jump on his head or something, and that's how you win the fight. It took me like 2-3 minutes to like figure that out, because I was button mashing him, I'm hitting him all the time. I'm like, I don't know what I have to do here. I was like surprised at how unintuitive that was for me. So I can definitely see where some challenge could come in, even if it's maybe not how they intended it to be.
Well, yeah,
I'm sure
like,
once I figured that out though, that I like through the rest of the game I wouldn't have that issue again with that particular mode.
Exactly. Like the mini enemies that you just like kind of one shot, like they'll just come at you, and if you're already attacking, like if they eventually attack, you'll just do like the dodge. But for bosses, I guess they do kind of have like a dodge window, but it is super forgiving. Like they kind of like wind up and then pause for like a second, and then as long as you kind of hit it in that time frame, you'll do the little warp ability. But you know, it's still visually pleasing. But yeah, I think I mean, I guess I should reference my notes.
I can bring a couple of questions at you too. So
absolutely.
So the other thing that surprised me when I was playing it is when I got into that patissiere section, when you have like decorate a bunch of cakes. Yeah. And I think I was like on my phone for like 10 seconds or something. Then I didn't realize that the whole thing was like on a timer. And I was like, oh shit. Stressful. And then I was freaking out, and I didn't end up like finishing it. I mean, I think if the time runs out at all, you could probably progress. But if you wanted to get like all the stars, you had to complete it like in a certain amount of time. So I don't know how hard that would be. I didn't like restart the level to try it again. But I thought that was cool, like thing to throw in there, because that could add some difficulty too, where they can put some time, some more tricky challenges. Because once again, you have 10 stars. So even if like a kid's playing this game, they're gonna be happy because they got 5 or 6 or something. Like they're like, oh, look at all these stars I got. But then for someone like people like us who are maybe looking for a little bit more challenge at times, it seems like with 10 stars, it gives them a lot of room to do that. So I found that for sure with the that baking section, which was really cute. That was like, it reminded me of like Cooking Mama and decorating the cakes after you do the puzzle. It was really fun.
When it's stressful and you have the time frame, it's more like Overcooked, I feel. Like I was totally stressing and like going back and forth. But yeah, no, just to your point with like the collectibles throughout the level, I feel like a big part of it too, I mean, the fact that they have 10 stars there, and like if like some of them, if you miss, like you just can't backtrack. So it's almost like you have to like really think about them as you're going along the level, because they are pretty evenly spaced out. I feel like just as you go along, like you will pick them up, as long as you find them and you hit all the markers when you should. But there has been times when, especially that bacon one that you mentioned, like I don't know if it was the same mission or if it was on like one of the other floors, but like the bacon one where you have to do the challenge, I had to redo it like 3 different times, because the first time I did it and then I like just screwed up, and then I realized it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna get the star, so I'm just gonna restart here now that I know how to do it. And then I did that, and I was still just getting totally screwed up on certain parts, but like as you mentioned, like it does kind of feel like a different game, like Cooking Mama or I mean, I brought up Overcooked, but it's just like a Mario Party mini game too, like in some of these levels. And
I think that probably is a Mario Party mini game in one of the games, like
decorating
a cake. I would imagine.
Oh, for sure. And all of that kind of leads into the fact that like this game is just fun to kind of progress on, because although maybe you don't like one of the themes, like you don't really have to do them in a certain order. Well, I guess by the end of the floor you have to finish all 5, but it's not like you unlock the first one and then go to the second one. I like how you go to the floor and they're just kind of all open. So for me, if I see like a transformation that I really like playing, I'll probably go to that one first, for example. And yeah, it just, you kind of know what mechanics to expect depending on if you had played that transformation before, and if you haven't, it's something new. So yeah, that's
question for you here, because so I guess for me, my perspective, if you're like going into this, seeing the trailers, I was like, I don't know, this game looks a bit too simple. Like, I don't think gameplay wise, I personally am gonna enjoy it. So that's where I like that they had a demo so I could check it out for myself. And I mean, from what you're saying, it sounds like it gets more interesting like pretty quickly after those first couple levels. So I'm sure I would enjoy my time more. It was like just okay from what I played of it, but I also like had very low expectations for it. And I think just for like $80, 90 whatever with tax, it's like it's hard for me to justify that. When I like played the demo, I was like, this is so. But one thing that really bothered me was the frame rate. Like it was really choppy, running at like choppy, 30, but feels more like 20 a lot of the time. And for how little detail there is in like the visuals and how little there is on screen at any given time, even on like the basic lobby and stuff, that was really surprising to me and kind of a bummer. Now for a game that, you're talking about how forgiving the parry window is in like sword fighter mode, so it's not going to really affect the gameplay in a huge way, but it was surprising for me. I don't think I've played a Switch game with that bad of performance in a while, so I'm surprised it's from a first party game. Like Zelda chops at times, but this was even more noticeable than that.
No, it definitely was like one of the first things I even noticed, honestly, like because you boot it up and then it plays like the little entry video right away. I wasn't sure if it was just like a design choice for it to be like a certain way, and then I realized it was just the frames. And of course, just spend like $80 on this. You're coming into this brand new game and you're like, really, this is what I'm getting? I will say, I don't know if I'm just used to it or if it like stabled out at one point for me, but I really don't notice it like at all anymore, which is good, because like you mentioned, like that was the first thing I did notice. Even just moving through like the first level, it felt really bad. I just think, like the loading
any
screen
frame rate,
was really
like you kind of get used to it. But I think it was like when I was playing Redfall last year, I'm like, man, this game is choppy. But like you eventually get used to it. I'm like, that doesn't feel too bad. And then I'd go play Hitman and it was so smooth, even just at 60. I'm like, oh god, it becomes so noticeable once again. But yeah, if that's all you're playing, you do kind of adjust to it over time.
And like I think another thing that helps too is that the fact that this game isn't it's not like a Dark Souls or something where like every little frame could matter, like depending on like if you're getting hit. Like it is a simple game. And I mean, I was mentioning earlier with the hitbox and how forgiving and that stuff is. Like this game can be very forgiving because it is for just families in general, maybe younger audiences, and that helps. But still, that shouldn't be an excuse by any means. Like this game should feel, especially that it's a Nintendo game, it should feel really refined on their own system. And even just like the load times, I know you mentioned this on like previous episodes, but like, man, I'm just such a glutton for my SSDs now. Like in my system,
we need that Switch 2. Who would have thought we needed the Switch 2 for Princess Peach Showtime?
Yeah, that's pretty laughable. But I'm just so used to like these fast load times now that if any time it isn't, it's like, oh man, this is rough and it feels dated. So unfortunately, I kind of had that thought, which is definitely a bummer. But I guess that'd be my biggest negative on this game.
Okay.
So that's something.
That's good. Hearing you talk about all these transformations and the ninja one stuff, like even when I was seeing the trailers for this game, I'm like, man, I hope the next Smash game like revitalizes Peach's moveset, because she's had the same moveset since Melee, like minor, tiny little differences. But yeah, man, I hope they take a bunch of these crazy forms, or even just like one move, like throwing the shuriken or whatever, and just incorporate that into her moveset. And then, like, Daisy can keep that traditional Peach moveset, and still, people who like that can still have that moveset. But man, I really hope they incorporate some of these crazy new forms into her moveset going forward.
I want like an agile fighter Peach.
That'd be sweet, man. Like, take the dress off, not in like a nude way, but like put her like her action suit on that she has in the Mario movie, and get some of these more agile moves would be really cool.
That'd be really sweet on it, or like even just make it more of a kind of a transformy type character that can have like a different,
that too.
Just I guess play styles as you go along. I don't know how you'd balance that. Obviously, Smash is a competitive game that might be tricky, but I mean, I guess they already have multiple form. Like they have Pokemon.
They do.
Trainer,
I mean,
right?
for characters, like they usually just wouldn't change the costume necessarily, but they would just like have the different moves from the different games, and they kind of blend them nicely. And then I guess you could just make it like her separate costumes at the character select screen. Like you could pick Ninja Peach, and that would be a different variation you could have, which would be a cool way to do it. But yeah, I hope we see something like that. And then on the transformations, so the way you're describing it sounds like so there's 5 levels per floor. So when any one of those 5 levels, like you're kind of going in there and you're Detective Peach for that level. There isn't much of like Detective Peach for one little section, and then switch to Patisserie Peach, and then maybe do Ninja Peach for like a jumping sequence. It's kind of like confined. Each level is one theme.
Yeah, you got it. So, I don't know how it was in the demo for you. Like, did you have the main hub in the demo? Where
just the main lobby
theater?
area, which it did have, I think, 5 levels in it, and like the staircase going up.
Okay, yeah. So it's basically that, like going up. They have like different themes, so it's different colors or whatnot. But like at the door before you enter, like I guess the theater, I guess it would be. It has like a little emblem, so you know like which one it is going into it.
Okay.
Like the figure skate, it'll just have a figure skate on there, so you know that you're getting the figure skate level, and it's usually like a snow or ice theme, obviously, to go hand in hand with it. Which, but like again, I really like it because you kind of know what you're jumping into, and then it's just the theme of that play is X, for example. Like if you're doing the Cowgirl Beach, it's Western times, and no, I like it. Like it's got different music depending on what level you're on. I feel like Mario games, they just have some phenomenal music sometimes.
Always,
and,
what is the Cowboy Peach like? Because for each form, it's like you're always just moving. You have a jump button and then like an action button. Like it's pretty simple, right? What is the Cowboy one? What is the action button for that?
So you got a whip, or not I guess it's not a whip. A lasso. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you're lassoing an object and then tossing it.
Okay,
so
cool.
it's most of the time it's either enemies or like barrels or something that you'll grab.
Nice.
And then like a big part of that level is you jump on a horse, and then you're kind of doing like a pursuit in that sense. So you got to jump over things, kind of like it's a moving stage kind of situation. So you're like avoiding obstacles, and then you're lassoing objects, and cool. I think it's fun. It's not my favorite by any means, but it's no figure skating, but that's for sure. But it's still really fun. What else was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Just on the topic of like the transformations, obviously you get different outfits and such, and something that I think is new to a Mario game. Maybe you can correct me. You've played a lot of Mario games in your day, but you can like customize your outfit, like not necessarily the transformation, but like just Princess Peach's dress. Like as you go on, if you beat like one of the bosses of the first level, it's called like Disco Wing, so it's like a disco theme like boss battle that you do,
cool.
And then after that you get like the disco version of like Peach's dress, so it just kind of changes the pattern. It doesn't change anything too much, but I was still just like shocked at the fact that I'm like, I don't think I've ever played a game that you can just like customize the outfit of a character. Like it's not super in-depth. It's no Red Dead Redemption by any means where you're like selecting what kind of like armband you want to wear, or
it's no Baldur's
like,
Gate where you can pick what penis you want.
Yeah, there's no penis sliders in Peach Showtime by any means, but still it was just kind of like a shocker.
Because you're right, most like Mario games, it's like if it's a 2D platformer, you're not going to have that because you grab a mushroom, you turn big, you grab fire, you turn
Yeah.
into like Fire Mario. But yeah, the only one I can think of is like Mario Odyssey off the top of my head, because you're going to the shop and buying all sorts of different costumes there, and then you
Right.
can just wear them at any given time. But yeah, I don't know if I can recall another one off the top of my head other than like, uh, I guess Mario Kart. Like some characters can change their
Right.
color or something, and like Mario Golf, the one on the Switch has like one costume per character. Like I don't know, it is pretty minimal. So that's a fun element of customization.
I think I was just kind of shocked that I went to this one store and the only thing was like costumes. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. You can even change, like Stella has a ribbon. You can kind of change the color of her
Oh,
ribbon.
nice, cool.
I mean, I haven't unlocked anything for Stella, but I'm sure if you can unlock like more things for Peach, there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to do it for Stella as well. And yeah, I don't know. It's super minor. Like it's not gameplay changing by any means, but it's a nice little addition to the Mario universe. maybe
Yeah,
a little bit behind, but still, it was a nice addition for sure. And
cool.
yeah.
Anything else on this game?
What will I say? Oh, one really minor thing, a little like quality of life improvement. I don't know if you noticed this in the demo, but you can like slide down railings now. There's a lot of stairs in this game, so you'll be like, you can run down the stairs. I just accidentally went to the railing, and she just like hopped on and slid down. Super minor, like again, but I think I did that like twice. The first time I realized that.
Is
I
that
was
more
like, oh,
in
this
the
is
like
fun.
in the lobby area, like going down those stairs? You mean, or like just any staircase? In
Any
the game?
staircase,
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
So it's mostly in like the theater that you encounter those things, but there has been a couple levels that I've seen them, and like this is sweet.
I love
Another
that.
like little minor thing. I don't know if they've done this in previous Mario or Princess Peach games, but she like lifts her dress up when she runs now.
I noticed that a lot. I really like
Yeah.
that. I lifting up in front of her so she doesn't trip
Yeah,
on it. That was a cool
exactly.
detail.
Like
Yeah.
just those little details. Mario Wonder added a few like things like that with the little
Yeah,
just
great
attention to
animations.
details, and it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, I like when they add these things.
The staircase, that's smart because I feel like that's a classic thing in games. It's so hard to get characters to like walk downstairs accurately. Like GTA 4 did it, and it was like it's so slow because it's so accurate. I just end up jumping on the stairs anyway and take a bit of damage. So I think that's a clever solution to like, you know what, it's gonna look bad. Let's just have them slide down the railing because that will always look good. So I like that. That's kind of a 2-in-1 solution there. It's faster, more convenient, but also probably from the animation perspective makes it look a bit better too.
Yeah, no, absolutely,
Cool.
I agree. The little I feel like every Mario game has just like the what would I call them? Just the civilians, I guess, of the world.
Sure. Yep.
Like in Wonder, they had the flower type
The flower people. Yeah.
Yeah. What else? So in this one at least, they're called teeths, I think, or maybe I should pull that up so I don't.
It was
miss them.
something weird. That does sound.
Theets, that's what it is.
Yeah, okay.
Theet. And to me, they just look like the head of those like caterpillar type things that you encounter, the yellow ones.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just the head, so it's just like a ball with like the big nose. The nose glows a lot of the time.
And
but
this
those
is
are
like
kinda,
their world, pretty much.
Yeah.
Peach is visiting, right?
Yeah, exactly. So they're littered throughout the world. They're like the good guys that you'll rescue throughout. You're saving a lot of them throughout the game as well, and like I recognize the character just because of what I referenced, like the little caterpillars that you would encounter in Mario games.
The Wiggler, yeah.
Yeah, the Wiggler. But like they've been lots of fun too. I feel like the fact that they are pretty animated, like their noses will glow and flash and do different things. If you don't have your transformation, like Peach is just kind of who she is. She has this little ribbon that gives her like the sparkle power to just kind of interact with objects in the world. You kind of just bring light to some certain darkness things. It's how you interact with a lot of objects is, you just hit B and you'll kind of spin your ribbon around. And yeah, like they'll just react through that. But they've been I feel like one of my more liked little NPCs in the Mario world. A lot of them are just kind of annoying. Like we've seen a lot of Toads. I'm glad that we're kind of spreading out into the universe and experiencing some other creatures out there. It's not like there's Theets and then like a bunch of different just different species both in the Mario world here, but I like them for their inclusion in this game. I think I don't know, they're just kind of colorful and unique and super vibrant, obviously, with their noses always flashing, kind of a Rudolph effect there.
Nice. Cool. Awesome. Should we move on for today?
Last thing I'll say, actually. I'm glad I caught this. But when you do your transformation, do you have any experience with Sailor Moon at all?
Very little.
Okay.
I love the aesthetic though.
Shay pointed this out to me, and I did, and like as soon as she pointed it out to me, it just like blew my mind. There is so many Sailor Moon type like references in this game, and I don't know if that's just like
Interesting.
across the board in like
Okay.
previous Princess Peach adaptations, but the font like for the game Princess Peach is basically like the exact same font of Sailor Moon. When you do your transformation, she kind of like grabs Stella's ribbon and then like spins around and turns like this like bright blue color and then kind of
Mm.
does her transformation. It's the exact same way that Sailor Moon and
Wow.
the other sailors like turn into their outfit. They have a ribbon and they just kind of like spin around and then glow blue and then they turn into their costume. Oh, there was something else too. Oh, I'm so bummed. I should have wrote it down.
All
But Shay
these
was
little
mentioning all
details.
these little
That's
details of like
cool.
the similarities there. And like obviously it could just be like heavily inspired by that, but as soon as she told it to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, this game is just Sailor Moon. This is hilarious.
Nice.
The dress that you wear and like the figure skating one, it kind of feels like a Sailor Moon outfit as well. But
Gotcha.
yeah, no, I mean, Shay loves Sailor Moon. I've seen quite a bit of the first show, and it's just another thing that I guess I like about this game, the little Sailor
Awesome.
Moon references there. But yeah,
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, it sounds like you're getting close to the end of this game,
yeah,
or I don't know. Seems like you still have like another 4 or 5 hours to go, and then who knows what the heck's going on in the basement there.
yeah.
So yeah, hopefully next time you're on Sidequest, you can share the rest of your journey with it.
Absolutely. And like I think I was kind of surprised too, like how much content there was. I think initially when I was doing the levels, I thought maybe there'd be like 3 floors or something, and then I got there and then there were like still more staircases going up, and then obviously I knew about the basement. I kind of explored it, but there's just kind of these paintings that are glowing purple like
Something
at
ominous
first.
about it, like more is gonna happen.
Yeah.
There.
So I'm like, okay, there must be levels that you unlock later on. I'm curious what that is or what's in there. But yeah, and then I just Google and there's like 5 floors plus like the boss battles that happen. It's like, oh wow,
Oh,
this
okay.
is
Yeah.
like there's some good content here. I'm
Nice.
definitely glad that I'm getting my money's worth out of it nonetheless. And I mean, I've already enjoyed it so much that I feel like I have gotten the money's worth out of it in that sense. But yeah, a lot more content still to explore, and definitely glad that I picked this up. And I think anyone out there that is a little bit on the fence, but they are a Princess Peach fan, I think this is a great entry to carry on with the legacy that is the OG princess. And yeah,
Nice. Yeah, no, I'm excited to see. Hopefully, this becomes a series, or at least gets a sequel, and we can see some other ideas with it in the future. But how about that? We take an intermission here, and we'll be right back. Okay, we are back. So let's talk about some news, and then we'll get back to other games we've been playing. So, Marvel 1943: Rise of Hydra. Don't you dare forget the name of that title because it's so memorable. This game was announced. Oh man, it could have been last year. It might have been 2 years ago at this point. This is Amy Hennig's studio. So previously of Uncharted, she worked on some of those games. And this game previously didn't have a title. We just kind of called it King Captain Soldier Spy because that's what like the stinger at the end of the initial trailer was. It just said that, and I love that name, and I knew it was never the actual title, but I was hoping that they would keep it because I love that, and I think this new title does not roll off the tongue, but that's not super important here. But yeah, do you remember seeing this game previously, or is this kind of your first time seeing it here?
like while I was watching the trailer, I do remember like seeing some of the imagery, I
Right.
guess, of the characters, but no, like I completely had forgotten about that until I was watching the trailer. So just seeing like the actual name there was a big shocker because
Yeah.
obviously like we had just done that the what if review, and the what if in that season is it 1943 as well? Is it that same date? I can't remember.
Oh man, I
Or
don't
no,
know.
sorry, never mind. It was like 18 something when they're like in the medieval ages. I don't know why I
Oh,
thought those two were
yeah.
similar.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you're thinking of like X-Men because X-Men had like that episode where Wolverine goes back in time with Captain
It must have been
America.
splicing in my
Yeah.
brain, honestly, the
The
two of them,
animated
and I'm like,
shows
this is
kinda
already a
blending.
thing, yeah. So never mind, scratch everything I just said there, but yeah, no, I did not really know what to expect
Yeah.
going into this
I
one.
mean, it's been very quiet since then, and like I said, that's been a while ago now. So this was a very specifically a story trailer. There was no gameplay in here whatsoever. Now there's a couple shots that maybe can give us a clue of what the gameplay could be like here. But yeah, we kind of got a bigger showing of this. We have the title now, and they've said it's coming out 2025. So I imagine we're going to get a lot more of it soon. Like I think Summer Game Fest seems kind of imminent to get like a gameplay trailer or Game Awards at the latest. Unless maybe they're targeting like a fall 2025, in which case could be next year at a Summer Game Fest or something like that we'd get more info on this. But yeah, what did you think of the story trailer? Did this grab you? Did this pull you in? Are you excited for this game?
You know, I was going through a little bit of a roller coaster ride, I think, on this one. Like a super like easy one, kind of like a Disney coaster, not like a Six Flag type experience where it's whoa, what's going on?
The kind of one they can pull
loop-de-loops.
into a parking lot where
Yeah.
it's like it's that easy. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's how I was feeling this trailer. First off, I think just it looked beautiful. I think the Unreal Engine looked really, really superb, and they did a great job just with all like the characters' faces and just all those like cinematics that they're showcasing. It's like, man, this looks beautiful, and I'm excited for just games of the future. Just the fact that this looks like this. We've seen beautiful games in the past, so I'm not going to say this looked like the next thing that I just blew my mind.
Especially when
but-
it's not gameplay, you never know like how is it going to translate. Right?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's funny, not in the story trailer, but I think it's like the state of play or like talk that they did. They brought Amy Hennig, is that her name?
Hennig, yeah.
Hennig. And she was just saying like, oh, just so you know, like that wasn't like a demo that we polished for this. That was our game. And I'm like, well, it was cinematic as well. Like, it's not like it's gameplay. We haven't seen that yet.
Right.
But just the way that they market that. But anyways, I'm going off tangent here. But yeah, I just thought it looked phenomenal. I really did like the story that was kind of shown. Just the fact that you have it's not T'Challa, right? It would be his father, I guess.
I think it's T'Chaka, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So King T'Chaka as well as like Cap and them just kind of doing this like almost cat and mouse thing at the start in this like, you know, kind of, well, I guess it's Hydra, but just like World War II, like occupied France type setting. It just is a really, really cool setting for a game like this with cool characters. But as it was going on and by the time it got to the end, I was just kind of like, I don't know if I would pick this game up, actually. Like, I don't know. Obviously, I really need to see gameplay before I really make that determination. But this was a beautiful trailer, but it still wasn't quite enough to really win me over. And I don't know if I'm just evolving as I'm getting older and just, like, right away being like, I know this looks pretty, but, like, I'm not going to put all my chips
You
on
got
that
to finish
wagon
Midnight
yet.
Suns first. That's the
Exactly.
problem.
Oh my gosh, I have 100 games before I would even consider that. But or like this, not Midnight Suns. But I think maybe the lack of other superheroes might have been another thing too. Like, I do like Cap and T'Chaka, but
yeah, even then, like, and I think we knew this before that I don't think the soldier is Bucky. Like, I think the soldier part of this King Captain Soldier Spy is just not just going to say some other guy. Like, I'm sure he's important to some comic book run or something, but I don't know much about him. And then also, like, I believe when they were confirming the characters before, they said that, like, and there's a Dora Milaje here that's assisting Black Panther, but I don't think it's like I mean, timeline wise, I guess it would make sense for it to be a Nakia or Okoye or someone that we know. So yeah, I guess that's also like a character that I'm not really familiar with. So I think that's interesting to me. Like, okay, cool, an opportunity to get introduced to some new characters here, and also T'Chaka, a Black Panther, I'm not really too familiar with myself. And then Cap, of course, we've seen him a million times before. But yeah, I'm excited for it in that way. But you're right, it does seem pretty light on the rest of the superhero part of it, and even then, like, you know, the setup of this trailer is really showing like Cap and Black Panther going at it. They're battling. The ending like sizzle thing at the end of the trailer is them fighting on a bridge, a very classic kind of Marvel battle thing to do. But yeah, it's like, okay, that's not against a Red Skull or some other big Marvel villain. It's against each other there. So, I mean, I guarantee this game is going to pull the, Batman vs Superman thing where they end up teaming up to fight the big guy, big bad, like a Red Skull or whoever. I mean, Red Skull does make the most sense. I don't know who else it would be. I'm sure that's where we're going with it. But I think this is like a cool place to start of establishing this part of the game, that there is at least going to be a section of the game where these kind of characters are battling against each other. And I believe we have confirmation that you're going to play as all four of these characters at different points in the game, and it's going to be very guided. Like, okay, this section you're playing as Cap, this section you're playing as the Dora Milaje character, rather than like, okay, this next I'm on level 3 and I can pick whatever of the 4 characters I want. Like, it's more guided in that way. So when you come down to a moment like that, I'm curious how that's going to play, of like, who am I playing in that battle if these are both kind of protagonists for this game. Right. So I don't know, there's definitely still a lot of answers that we need, and I'm kind of with you. Like, I'm I'm lukewarm on this at the moment. I'm interested for sure because I love Marvel stuff. This time period and setting is not necessarily my favorite, but I do want to play as Black Panther in a game because super fun in Ultimate Alliance, super fun Marvel's Avengers. And I mean, there is a Black Panther game coming as well, so maybe I just wait and get that one instead. Cap is always fun in these kind of games too. So, yeah, I also imagine this game's going to be very Uncharted-y, and that's, basing it off Amy Hennig and whatnot, but just very cinematic focus, like big set piece sort of things, really character-driven and whatnot. And so I hope that means that the combat and gameplay is fun, because I don't really like the gameplay much in the Uncharted games, but I don't know. This is definitely a setting I enjoy more, so I've definitely got my eyes open here, but definitely need to see gameplay before I make any sort of decision, of course.
It's funny that you meant like just the clash, I guess, of Cap and Black Panther. Like that's like the whole kind of, I guess, mini story in this trailer, right? Is the fact that like Cap knows that there's another super out there, and then he's chasing this one down, and then Black Panther or I guess it's the Dora Milaje character to the Black Panther. It's like, oh, like the the American is on your tail, and like while I'm watching this lead up to like the bridge clash that they have, I'm just like, like, why is this game called Rise of the Hydra? Like, it should just be like basically Batman versus Superman. Yeah. Like this whole trailer is just they're in occupied France, but they're just like after each other. Like it just kind of seems strange in that way, but. I don't know.
That's a very good point.
I guess the beauty of the trailer, it kind of masked what was going on. But the more I stewed on it, it was just like, that's a really strange trailer to show off, especially the story, right? Like,
yeah,
if it's called Rise of Hydra and the big end off is like them, almost like a Civil War type event, right? It is kind of strange, their decision.
I hope they're just trying to pace their announcements and make sure that, like Red Skull on screen is going to be a big hype moment. So they want to save that for some other showcase when this gives us a lot to chew on, or a decent amount to chew on for the time being.
That makes sense.
I will say, Black Panther with the cape, no good. I don't like it.
I agree.
Looks weird, especially it's like very short. It goes to like middle of his back.
Yeah.
Don't like it. Hopefully I can customize my character and take that off.
I would like expect that, honestly, in this day and age with how many like superhero games there are that you can just change your outfits. Spider-Man obviously being a big one, but yeah, it made me think of the Prowler sort of from
a
Spider-Verse.
little bit, yeah.
And like I love it on the Prowler there. Maybe your assessment of like it being a little bit shorter looked strange. Also, just when he was kind of jumping from rooftop and then kind of entering a bit of a stealth sequence, it just seems strange. It seems like something that you would wear in the throne room, But then like once you're going to kick ass,
for sure.
you take off the cloak.
Not to be worn during battle. No capes.
In The Incredibles, they explain why capes are such a bad idea, and like I just picture that happening to T'Chaka here.
At least his is short, so he's not gonna like trip on it, or hopefully that's. And he's not flying near airplanes like that one girl in Incredibles, so he should be safe. But yeah, I also got the vibe that there's gonna be a lot of stealth in this game, which would once again make sense for that kind of Uncharted thing where you're sneaking around these areas, and then once you attack someone, then it goes into all-out warfare. But just the way Black Panther's jumping around rooftops and sneaking up on people, that is exciting for me. That prospect, I just think like Black Panther as a stealth-based character seems like a really cool idea, especially on these like the rooftops in this kind of 1943 France. Like it seems like a really fun setting to kind of jump around, very kind of Dishonored-esque in that way. So there's definitely some things I'm excited for here, but hopefully we get more at Summer Game Fest. I think that'd be good pacing. So yeah, there you go. There's Marvel 1943. Any final thoughts on that, or do you want to move on?
No, I'm ready to go.
Okay, so let's talk about some other games we've been playing. Sounds like you went pretty hard on Peach over the weekend, but anything else you've been playing you want to shout out here?
I don't think so.
Not much.
I was gonna shout out. I finally dabbled into. This is gonna be a very niche audience out there, but on the podcast, it's a running joke that I'm a big F1 fan, which I am. To defend myself. And I recently had gotten, I think it was like the holiday sale. I picked up F1 Manager 23. Okay. It's kind of like the FIFA managers. Like there's so many of these manager type games out there. And this one, like I'm not even gonna dive into it because I'm just gonna sound like such a nerd here, but. Like I finally just took the time to kind of learn. I watched a couple YouTube videos while I was cooking dinner, and like just slowly build up my knowledge before I could like jump into a game like this. And it is so great. I've only played like a couple hours in it, but it's super super fun. And yeah, it's super strategic, and I'm
Cool.
just really, really digging it. But yeah, I just wanted to shout that out. Other than Peach, that's kind of all I'd really played. Unfortunately, I didn't join the boys for Outlast Trials this last weekend. I'm excited to jump back in there. But yeah, it's kind of just been my
Yeah.
it on games.
There's this racing game I've had on my wish list for years and years. That looks really fun, and I don't, for some reason I've never picked it up. But I saw that team's new game is like an F1 game, so I'll send you a
Ooh.
link to that because
Absolutely.
if it's anything like their previous game, I think it'll be a cool aesthetic for F1, a little more
Oh, that's cool.
cartoony, but still like good mechanics and whatnot. So I'll look into that. Yeah, I as you said, Outlast Trials did play that over the weekend, a couple nights there. Last night was a real situation because we were playing, as we are, where Travis and Taylor have kids and we're busy adults and we all have jobs. Like our gaming time as a group always happens on the weekends, always Friday and Saturday night. That's just
Late,
when we're free.
too.
And yeah, always
Late
at
is
like
the hour.
10. Sometimes if we're lucky, but usually 11 or later. So, not the best for my sleep schedule sometimes when it's, 2 a.m. kind of night there. But we were like, you know what? We didn't get to play on Saturday. Well, we were going to. And then I was like, I'm tired, guys. I'm sorry. I'm bailing. You were like, maybe. And then just who knows where you went.
Passed out on the couch again, just like Friday night.
Travis disappeared. And then Taylor the next day was like, you guys bailed on me. I was all alone. Then he went and completed one of the single player trial things. But yeah, so we played a little bit on Sunday. And it was like, I in my head, I had like a heart out of like, okay, I'm going to go 10:30 because that's like a good time. I got to go to sleep so I can work the next day.
Yeah.
We had finished one. It was like 10:10. I'm like, okay, let's see. And we did another one and it was really quick. It's like 10-12 minutes. I'm like, perfect. I'll do one last game here. This freaking mission took one whole hour. It took an entire freaking hour. Is that one where you have to go to the police station, you go to a courtroom, you got to collect some acid, and then you have to get those scanners. You got to kill the witness. Remember that one with the scanner?
Gosh, yeah.
And then there's a thing past that, and you got to go crank these wheels. And you know what the saddest part of this, Kirklin? We died at the very end.
No.
And so we didn't complete the mission, and we got to do it again. So hopefully next weekend you can join us and help us beat this freaking mission. Yeah, it was brutal. I mean, we still got experience, and I did get a level up from that, so I got a new perk from it. So it was worth it in the end. But it was, especially, man, it was like, oh man, now I'm going to bed so late. I didn't even beat the mission. It's just like double salt in the wound there.
Great way to start the week.
Yeah, no, truly not. But no, I don't think I have too much to add since last time. We did kind of confirm that once you do that. Once again, I guess for anyone who didn't listen last week, we did a review for Outlast Trials, so you can go check that out for the deeper discussion. So yeah, like I said, I don't have too much new to share here, but we did go through. Travis and Taylor both beat that single player mission, which rolls you into the next difficulty level, and we did unfortunately confirm that it is the same levels, so there isn't any new levels past what we played. They of course remixed stuff. Things are in different places. Enemies are different, like more doors are trapped. There's other mechanics that kind of get introduced, but it's not a ton. But really, it's just like having the higher difficulty does make the game a lot more intense and different. You have to play a lot smarter. So that's been fun to get into, and just getting more deeper in the weeds of like the RPG mechanics of it, the different ways you can level up and power up your character. We discovered that the healing rig that Travis had at the time, and now I have and Taylor has, it's actually an AoE. So it heals, like you can heal the whole team with it.
Oh, wow.
On top of that, if you upgrade that rig a bunch of times, you can get it's called Detox, and it replicates the antidote, so you can cure yourself of psychosis.
Oh, wow.
And that too is an AoE, so you can like heal your whole squad of psychosis with that. So yeah, that was like a huge thing to discover. We all put points into that, which has made it a lot easier. But then also, like, we don't have much variety because we all have the same rig on, so we need to maybe spread the wealth a bit, because I'm sure the other ones have good upgrades just like that as well. So yeah, it's been fun getting deeper into the mechanics of it. It's a really fun game. I think we'll probably keep playing it for a few weeks here. Like, it's, even though it's the same levels, it's still fun to go through there and try and master some of these things.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a bummer that there's not more variety on the levels, but I don't know. I mean, it's not a full price game, right? So I feel like already I've gotten my value out of it and just enjoyment.
True.
But
yep.
As you mentioned, just because like we only did the one like super challenging one when I was playing, and
The weekly challenge, yeah.
that one was difficult.
It was, yeah.
How did that compare to like this next level for you guys? Was it kind of similar, difficulty wise, harder, easier?
I guess I would say it's about similar. That
Okay.
might maybe was a bit harder just in terms of like the damage the enemies are doing. Like they are
Mm,
doing a lot more damage now, but it's not like that weekly challenge was freaking brutal. But there has been a
yeah.
couple levels where like enemies are spawned immediately. There's a lot more. This mission was so freaking hard, and we're barely getting through it. And we're like abusing this healing mechanic now, and we're still kind of getting wrecked. So yeah, it's definitely, and there's like another whole difficulty above this. I don't think there's a one above that. I think there is 3 levels, but I could see them adding something like that down the line too. But yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff. So it's fun. Adds good replayability to it.
Nice.
Um, and then yeah, 2 other games I wanted to shout out here. This is probably a quick shout out here, but this game I was on Game Pass. It's called You Suck at Parking. I don't know if you've seen this one before. It came out like I think 2 or 3 years ago. It's been on my radar. And this is just like a janky, fun like puzzle physics game, and I love a good physics game like Trials, or like Lonely Mountain Downhill, or like like that bridge builder Portal game I was telling you, just like
Yeah.
bridge building games in general. Like I just love a good physics game, and this is definitely that, where you're set up in this level and you have to park your car into these different parking spots, and it starts out pretty simple. You're just going through like this like pretty simple obstacle course, dodging some cones, bouncing off some tires, trying to get there. But then as you play more and more of it, it's getting a bit harder as they're layering on the mechanics of it. But it's just like really fun combination of mechanics where there's essentially like a gas meter you have for each of these levels. And so some of these parking spots are like really far away, so you have to like be really precise in your movements and try and avoid that janky bouncing off walls and whatnot. But then also like trying to find different shortcuts. But then also like the best feeling ever is when you're like you run out of gas, so you can't hit the accelerator anymore, but you maybe just have enough speed to just slowly slide into that parking spot and get in there, and then you still get like full marks for that. It doesn't matter if you run out of gas as long as you made it there. So that's a great feeling. And then yeah, I just think that there's like just this level of mastery to it of trying to figure out the most optimal routes and be able to nail them each time. It's just really fun. I don't think I have much more to say than that. It's just a video game at its core. So highly recommend that one. It's been a lot of fun. There's a lot to it. A lot of mechanics that you get in there. Cop cars eventually smashing into you, landmines and all this crazy stuff. It gets wild pretty quick.
That's funny. I just pulled it up and it kind of reminds me of like Overcooked or like Moving Out. Like that
Definitely has that
universe.
vibe to it. Yeah.
I had to double check to make sure it wasn't the same developer, which it's not. But yeah, no, this looks wild. What as you were describing of just like different parking, it reminded me of a game way back in the Flash days.
Okay.
So maybe you've played it, but I think it was just called Driver's Ed, and you'd basically just do like different challenges. Like you'd parallel park one of them, you'd reverse park, and like there's different driving challenges.
Yes, I do remember this
And
game.
man, that was one like I just remember me and
Oh.
my sister like always playing on like whatever it was, maybe like addictinggames.com, like something like that. And yeah, no, I just as you were describing this game, it just took me back to that world. And there was
Look at
yeah
this,
the
man.
like the teacher guy, yeah, exactly. And like if you got close,
Oh wow, look at it.
oh look at that one. If you got close to like the edge, he would start like mumbling his mouth, and like
Right.
obviously he would give out different demerits. That's exactly the game. That's so funny.
Yeah, I definitely remember this game. No, I definitely I love like because there's like racing games, but I feel like driving games are kind of underrated.
Yeah. Agree.
Where it's just about like either precision or like I don't know, a little puzzle. This is very much like a puzzle game mixed with like a janky physics game at the same time. So I think it's kind of like an underrated like subgenre there that I really enjoy. So once again, on Game Pass, go check it out. And then lastly, as I said, I played the Princess Peach demo. The other demo I checked out is for Sandland, which is coming out next month. I think I've talked to you about Sandland on like I forget if it was a Nintendo Direct or some showcase. I feel like we talked about it. But
Oh, yeah.
Sandland is
Yeah,
an old
totally. We talked about
Akira Toriyama like manga, I believe.
this. Rest in
And
peace.
yeah, rest in peace. And so I don't know if I think this developer actually like put this demo out early because they put it out like a couple days after he had passed. Probably just honoring, get some people. Hey, you want to just love something that he made? Like go check out this demo right now, kind of thing. Which is pretty cool. Or maybe it was just convenient because the game is coming out like in a month. So maybe I don't know. It seemed early for a demo. So to me, it seemed like a cool little gift they were doing for the community almost. But yeah, Sandland, once again, has that kind of Dragon Ball sort of aesthetic to it.
Totally.
But yeah, I've had this game on my radar. I would just, you mentioned Mad Max earlier that we are doing the retro for that. or you guys rather, are doing the retro for that. And this game reminds me a lot of a Mad Max sort of thing, where you're just in these sand dunes and you have all these crazy different vehicles that you're using. You're just cruising around, destroying people. And at least in this demo, like what's interesting about this demo, because a lot of demos, like the Peach one, for example, it's like, here's just the first 30 minutes of the game. A totally fine way to do a demo, of course. This feels like it just throws you like 10 hours in and just throws you at a section randomly in the open world, and it's like, yeah, just screw around for a few hours and see if you're into this kind of gameplay. Cool. So yeah, it doesn't mess around by like, okay, here's the first vehicle and like here's some tutorials. There's no tutorial. It just drops you in there. It says, go have fun with this, go check it out. Which is super fun. It's really great. Like you have your you in the demo, you start with 3 vehicles, and so you have like a speeder bike that's like gets you across the ground pretty quickly. Of course, it has guns and bombs on it and stuff too. And then you have like a tank that you can use, which is pretty straightforward. It's really fun. And then you have like sort of like a battle bot sort of thing. Like it's a more standing up sort of robot, has like a big uppercut, and you can kind of quickly switch between these vehicles. I don't even know what the overarching theme or story or like progression of the game is. It just seems like kind of like an open worldy sort of thing. So I'm sure you're just doing quests, doing side quests, doing fetch quests. And like I said, the demo doesn't really introduce really what the format of the game is. It just lets you play around in this sandbox, so to speak, pun intended there. But yeah, it's like the gameplay is super fun. The gameplay is like, it's super snappy, even when you're just outside your vehicle, like the run, the double jump, the dash, like all that feels really, really solid. The vehicles are super fun. There's like different upgrades, so many different upgrades you can get for them. Like the enemy types, really fun, good variety in there. And just amazing vibes. Of course, that Toriyama art, like done in like beautiful kind of like 4K sort of textures. Really good looking game. The music is really great. So huge shout out to Sandland. I like, once again, $80, so it's like, every game is so expensive. Really, I got to decide if it's worth it. But I really, really enjoyed my hour or two messing around in this game. It is a super fun, just great game feel. So big shout out to Sandland there.
Yeah, I completely forgot about this. That we had talked about this before, but just seeing like the Akira Toriyama like artwork to go with it, it looks so beautiful, and the fact that they have like the 3D models, they're just on Arrakis essentially. like the dune that they're on, it looks beautiful, even though it is just like a barren land. And I love the style of his characters. They're all so unique and like colorful in their own sense, and just like the way that he had done vehicles. I remember there was so much like little side art that he had done, like just kind of, well, it probably wasn't side art. It was probably things for like Dragon Quest and just other projects that he had done. But I had seen like a lot of splices amongst like Dragon Ball characters with those objects. I'm like, I just want more like vehicles and like architecture from this guy. The way that he would do like those types of buildings, they're very bubbly and kind of like, I don't know, they looked alien sort of thing. And just it's beautiful. And
they're kind of given like this cute sort of aesthetic over top of it because of those shapes. But yeah, even like watching a trailer afterwards and just seeing like all the other vehicles, because that's kind of what the focus of the game is, getting these different vehicles, powering them up. So rather than like your character progression necessarily, it's more about finding and getting new vehicles. And it's essentially like Pokemon. Like you just throw out this ball, and then like in that same Pokemon animation, the car like pops out of it, and then you can just hop in. So it's like really quick to switch between them, which is cool. It's really interesting. And then, when I was playing it too, I'm like, I love this sand aesthetic, but that's like kind of bold to have a big open world game that's like just sand and like different rock formations. But then like a couple days after, I saw that they posted like a new trailer that was like a forest trailer. And so there's like this whole forested section that you can go to, which looks very Dragon Questy, obviously, like very bright greens, lush forests and whatnot. So it seems like there is going to be other biomes. I could see a snow biome making a lot of sense as well for this kind of game. So I'm excited to see what other sort of things there is. So this is a game that I'm definitely going to pick up at some point. Yeah, day one might be hard to justify, but I think like even, I don't know, 25% off, 50% off, I could see myself picking it up hopefully later this year, and I can play it before the year ends. But yeah, like don't sleep on this one. It's really interesting. Like I said, the demo is really good. So go check it out. Go play it for yourself, and you'll see just how smooth and fun the gameplay is of it. It's a really, really good time. So there you go. And I think that's gonna be it for this episode of Sidequest here. A little short and sweet sort of episode. I think next week I'll be joined by Taylor Field, And who knows what the heck we're going to talk about. So you just got to tune in to find out. But thank you, Kirklin, for joining me.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you,
me.
everyone, for listening. And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.